Welcome everybody. Welcome to Understanding Web with IsNowGlobal. Today we're going to be going over analytics and KPI breakdown. Um, Hopefully you guys are here to learn. I'm just going to try to break down what I can about analytics for y'all, and just try to get y'all next into understand what we can about the web. So let's go and get started here. So again, this is Understanding Web with IsNowGlobal, where you learn web design, enhance your web design, and learn mobile design. And we're here every Saturday at noon. So let's get started here. As you know, we IsNowGlobal are a web design, web development, and web hosting firm. We're here to build your vision. When we do your thing, we start a vision. We build a plan to execute that vision. We get to work executing your vision, and then we launch your vision. And as always, if you're ever looking for where to get great web design, always come to isnowglobal.com, where you can get premium web design, hosting, analytics, and/or consulting. Okay. So, thank you all for being here. Today, we're gonna be breaking down analytics and key performance indicators. If you would like to have any questions, please put them in the chat. I am monitoring the chat, so let me know what you guys are. If you guys have any questions, any comments as I'm going along, I'll try to answer the best I can. So let's go next here. There we go. So, analytics. What you should be tracking and monitoring on your websites. Before we quickly start, I want to give a quick kind of overview of what analytics really are. Think of this as when you have a site, you want to grow it. You want to make sure you have the kind of metrics and key performance indicators to let you know what parts of your websites are doing well, what parts of your websites are doing, performing a little less than they should be, where you should be focusing your strength at, where you should be kind of putting all of your focus towards, where you can take your focus off of. So we can just kind of get started here, and just want to give you a quick breakdown about that. So, track analytics and KPI. Basically, it's a way for you to track your audience on your website using cookies and pixels and with any number of tools. It gives you an insight into your audience and how to interact with them, and how to interact with you and your content. And implementing some kind of tracking can be the difference between stagnation and growing your brand as a whole. I can tell you, for at least from my personal experience, every website we do at IsNowGlobal here has some sort of tracking involved, because we do a lot of on the fly design, where we're trying to constantly improve the design of the websites. So we use that. I'll kind of explain what key performance indicators and what we use to kind of track those changes, and how we kind of make the choices, and how we use data driven choice selection that we use in our system here, to kind of go forward here. Give me 1 second here. So there are a lot of different tools out there for you to track your track your analytics, and it's mostly about trying them and figuring out the right fit. Excuse my spelling error there. First is obviously IsNowGlobal Analytics. I fortunately have to give you this breakdown. Again, we provide in-depth tracking analytics for all of our clients. We give detailed breakdowns into the data and give you a pretty good understanding of how those metrics work and how to use it to grow your audience, grow and build your audience. Another one is Google Analytics. This is a freemium service that Google provides, with a console where you can deploy cookie trackers for your website. How this can be very useful is if you are eventually at any point going to run ads. If you're going to run ads, if you're going to do anything that kind of involves selling and/or tracking and/or segmenting and/or targeting, you definitely want to look into Google Analytics. It's free to start. It gets a little more costly as you go along, but it's one of those things where if your website is growing with your kind of scale, the fee that you end up paying Google or paying any of your hosting analytics or anything should become negligible, because of the amount of growth you're experiencing from the data you're getting back. So if you're not getting data back, look into maybe a freer tier option. Maybe reach out to us so we can get you hooked up with the right kind of software that will help you sort of put yourself in the right like situation where you can use the analytics to grow. Because again, if you're not tracking, you're stagnating because then you don't know what's going on your website. It's just kind of like one of those clear things that you should always have um, in the back of your head is like um, the fact that you want to be tracking, you want to be growing, you want to be moving forward. Essentially, you don't ever want to realistically stagnate. Uh, and these tools help you out. Another one is Facebook Pixel, and this one arguably is the one that I would say most people should probably be using. Because most people and their family have Facebooks, and Facebook Pixel, similar to probably kind of how Google Analytics and everything else works, is it's sort of a targeted ad placement, or targeted tracking placement. Google, Facebook, and Google do a different kind of thing where they'll essentially either have their like they'll leverage their kind of their audience and everything else about that audience to kind of see and understand how they're interacting with your site, and then they'll give you that information back. It's kind of a symbiotic relationship. Always think of it as you should be using these tools, but try to keep the data in house as much as possible, so that way you can control where the data is going. We give our clients full control over their data. If you want to, and as well as the users, you can. Every one of our websites should have an opt out, which we're gonna get into next. So things to watch out for. Those are all great tools. They're all amazing to use. You can implement them. They're pretty good to implement. There are some quick things you want to watch out for because you don't like mess up and get into a hard spot. When dealing with tracking analytics, it's very, 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 very vital and important to be transparent and let your users know that they are indeed being tracked, and provide them a terms and condition, a privacy policy, and an opt out. I'm not going to cover those three things today. I'll probably make another live stream maybe next week. Maybe I'll drop a quick video on the YouTube, youtube.com, youtube.isnowglobal.com. That again is youtube.isnowglobal.com. I might drop a quick video in the middle of the week showing you how to do the terms and condition, the privacy policy, and the opt out. These are all very, very important things. Quick tip. If you're doing any kind of tracking, if you're doing any kind of hosting, any kind of website, there's actually a quick little setting you can turn on that will allow you to just not have to ask your users if they want to be tracked. If they're using certain browsers like Brave or Chrome or there's some, I think Opera and a few other ones like Vivaldi might have it too. There's literally a setting you can set in the browser to say do not track me. And if you're not a web hoster or web designer, if you're just a regular user watching this, you can go into your settings. I will do another video about this later, but you can go into your settings and you can search in your settings for do not track in Chrome, and it'll give you the option to just have your browser tell the website and the web host that you do not want to be tracked. And if the web host is doing the correct thing, or the website is doing the correct thing, you won't even be tracked in the first place by turning on these options. So, and again, if you feel free to put any comments or anything, if you have any questions, I'm definitely here to answer whatever I can. But yeah, so we're gonna break down these terms. These are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 terms, and I want to break down these terms because I feel like these are the terms that probably will give you the most amount of information when you're starting out. This is just the top part. It's just like the top part of it. Thank you, Alex. And I'm glad you like it. But there's about these are like the top 10 analytic key performance indicators I think you should look towards in the beginning. It can give you a lot of really key insight into what you're doing. And I'm going to break down each of these terms into their actual definitions and kind of give you a bit of my kind of take on it. Because some of these terms can be a little overwhelming. They can be a little, they might not make a lot of sense sometimes, to say the least. So, so the next one would be, so let's start with the users. So a user essentially think of a user as someone who comes to your site. Now technically there are two types of users. There's a visitor and a user, depending on how much you segment your audience. Most analytics tools just put everybody as users, but if you want to go one step further, the difference between users and visitors. A visitor was someone who clicks on your link from a website or tweet or Instagram or a Pinterest pin or anywhere on the internet, even searching. A user is someone who does that and signs up for your site, or stays long enough to create a profile of that person. Um, so realistically, it's like if they've done a set number of things, they will have a user ID set. If you're doing things right, you will have you use some sort of tracking to check and see who which person is. You don't want to use their name. You don't want to use their email. You want to just generate a kind of random UID as you're going along, and then kind of use that. I'll show that off in a different video here. Again, please subscribe to our Twitch or our YouTube, and I'm probably not gonna do that one live. I'll probably just record that later and release it. Um, but yeah, a user is very important. It's like this is where your analytics begin and end. Is with the user. So like when it comes to tracking your users, you want to make sure if you are doing tracking right now, go look and see if you have a user ID set. If you don't have a user ID set, you're dropping the ball. You're dropping the bag. You're fumbling the bag because if you're not able to kind of ID your users based on like where they're using, where they're from, and it's just a bunch of random information, while that is noble and I do, if you're doing it on purpose, I applaud you. But for the majority of us who do proper terms and conditions, proper privacy policies, you want to make sure that if you're tracking, you're at least using the user ID or some sort of unique identifier so you can track your users across all of their actions and domains. Visits. So when users come to your site and when they like visit for the first 30, they stay for the first 30 minutes after they like get there, it's a view. Now you might say, why is a view 30 minutes? It's because a lot of times people will click on your link, and if they don't initially like your website, if it's not up to par or if it's missing a couple things, they will click out. And we'll get to that. We actually have a metric to track just that, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But visits allow you to tell which users come to your site, and when they do an action, which we're also going to go over as well. Getting ahead of myself here, but when you do an action, it kind of counts towards the visit. Visits don't count if they just click the link and leave. That's more of a hit, maybe. But a visit is something where they come and they interact with your site in a certain way, and they leave an impression, or you leave an impression on them, to either bring them back recurrently or you bring them back later. So that's another thing about visits or views is you want to make sure that you're watching this metric because it can tell you pretty much how users interact with your site. If you think your site might have, if you have the idea in your head that your site might be a little cumbersome or a little too wordy, check your visits and your conversions and see how long they're staying on the site. If they're not staying longer than about a minute or two, you may want to go change up some of the text you have on your site or some of the copy. Maybe hire a copywriter, and get that settled because realistically, regardless of how great your design is, if your copywriting isn't good, you're not going to make the conversions. People do, as crazy as it sounds, people do care about how things are spelled and how things are put together. I understand we're all human. You literally have been watching so far. You've seen make one or two mistakes so far, but it's really about making sure your users, when you're tracking this metric, that you're using it as a way for you to make sure your users are able to enjoy your site, and that's what this metric is used for. Actions, like I mentioned earlier, when people visit your site and they interact with your site, actions become a thing you can use. This essentially is any sort of thing where they click on action, where they view a page, where they search something, where they download something, or they click one of your links that you have that are sending something out. Uh, this is an important thing because this can give you a pretty good insight into how your users are interacting with your site. Let's say you have like 10 or 15 links on your page and you want to know which link is getting the most amount of traction. This is what you would use to actually check that. You would go into your actions, whether you use Google Analytics, Facebook Pixel, or anything else. You go look into your behavior, your user behavior. You check their actions, and you'll see, or you'll try to interpret how they're interacting with your site. You wanna really like focus and see how you want to focus on the downloads, the outlinks, and the views. The searches, your internal site searches are great because that gives you a lot of insight into how people are traversing your site, but most people don't have a lot of content that requires a search function. If you do have enough content for a search function, then replace downloads with internal searches. If you don't, replace internal search with downloads because if you more than likely may not have a lot of content, but you at least have something they can click and download, or you have something they can click in and start an email funnel for. And downloads will let you see when will let you correlate the email conversion rate to your download rate, and you want to kind of match that. If not, you want to go check your email tool and make sure your tool is actually delivering emails. That way you can see that. So that's what actions are. Unique visitors. So unlike just like visits, like unique visitors, people who are new visitors. It's not duplicated. It can't be. It doesn't necessarily double itself. You can have multiple of the same unique visitors. Like literally, it's a unique visitor. Regardless if they come on your page multiple times a day, there's still just one unique visitor. So when you're trying to sell yourself as an ad as to an ad agency or you have your own ad agency like we do maybe, and you're trying to sell yourself or your brand, this is what you want to use: unique visitors, um, actions, and you want to do along with unique visitors and actions. You definitely want to check for the average visit duration, which is the one of the things we're going to get into later on in the video. But these are three metrics you can use to improve the amount of money you are able to pull in from advertising. Because whether or not you have a lot of views, if you have a lot of unique visitors, it's just one of those things where you'll be able to see, hey, or you're able to tell them, hey, this is not. I know I get a lot of hits per month, but these are our actual interactions. These are our daily active users. These are the unique amount of people that come to my site every day. And so these are metrics you can definitely use to increase the amount of money you charge for ads and or you bring in with ads. Um, Outlinks. So outlinks are kind of important because it's the moment someone leaves your site. Depending on what your site is and what kind of functionality it serves, whether it's a resource engine or if it's like a communication hub, Outlinks gives you a very good indicator on what your audience likes. Like we actually give you an example. One of our clients right now, we use the outlinks as our main source of content aggregation. In that the content will follow the outlinks. In that because the website is built to kind of serve the community and give out resources. Uh, and we use outlinks to kind of ensure that the amount of that we use outlinks to ensure the amount of content that we're putting out is kind of correlating with the amount of content that people are consuming, which is like what they're clicking and what they're liking and what they kind of want to go through. So that's outlinks. Again, it's just like the number of times a link was clicked. This can also be used to track how users exit your site to your assets and resources. So this is balances. This is one of the this is one of the most important parts of this. If nothing else, this is one of the metrics you definitely want to keep your eye on at all times for all pages, for all actions. If you have a a page, let's just say a random page, your home page it should probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of like the industry standard. I think the industry standard is somewhere in the neighborhood of like 80%, where 2 out of the 10 people who come to your site bounce. Now that's good and all, but if you want to have a really great bounce rate, you want to use the previous metrics I saw so far and figure out where your users are going, and you want to exemplify or or kind of put attention to that content, whether it's moving it to the top of your page, where it's making that content bigger, making the viewport bigger, calling users attention to that content by changing the color. Um, if you use Divi or any sort of other like tools, please use A/B testing. I think it's an amazing tool that it's just built into Divi and all the other kind of page builders, and it can let you develop two different types of pages and then just segment them. Basically, you can even use the email list to segment them. Honestly, I think that's the thing you can do, where you'll be able to kind of test different designs of your page on different audiences. So, like, let's say you have an audience that um likes like video content more. You would do an A/B test where you would push your video content to the top of the page or to the top of the content, and then move the text to like either a smaller or more less pronounced way. And it's the vice versa. If they love text content versus video content, you then kind of exemplify the text. You still want to wrap the text around the video so that you still get that video content SEO boost basically, but you realistically want to use bounces to figure out how users interact with your page. Like it can be very important to see that, hey, this user came to my website, stayed 10 seconds and left. It looks like and you can, if you're using heat maps and mouse scrolling, it's a lot better because you can see where they scroll down to what they clicked before they left. So in this case, let's say they scroll down to your page that says, hey, sign up now, and your sign up button isn't working. That's a bounce. If you have a call to action that does not work, that's an instant bounce because people just they want things to work. If they don't work, they will leave. I mean, it's their choice. It's kind of diplomatic and whatnot, but definitely be aware of bounce rate. It's one of the most important key performance indicators you can like really get into because at least for me, when you're doing organic growth, bounces can tell you what's working and what's not, kind of just on a flat surface. Okay. So yeah, like I said, bounce rate. So that was bounces, and we kind of went over bounce rate too, but I'll just go over it again. It's just the percentage of visits that only had a single page view. This means like they came, they saw one page and left. Most people when they come to your website, if they're going to be counted as hits or users, will have to go to more than one page or stay on a page for more than 30 minutes. Those are one of the two kind of check marks you have to hit. It's 30 minutes, and also it's 30 minutes and or multiple page visits because that tells that tells the analytics tool and tells me and tells your host that, hey, this is a good page. It's performing. It's bringing in the kind of user we want, and anything things of that nature as well. So let's go ahead and go to the next one, which is conversion rate. This is kind of the overarching like media or media thing essentially. This is where you want to like kind of handle like conversion rates kind of attach themselves to every other party metric because every other party metric leads to conversions. This would have been like the last but not least thing, but in this case, it's just one of the things I want to talk about because it's just the percentage of visits that trigger to go, which is like, let's say if you're tracking something, you want to know when your users go to a certain page. I know for a fact our analytics tool lets you create a bunch of different goals and triggers and tripwires, and we can track those, and I think Facebook Pixel and Google Analytics also does as well. Um, and conversion rates is how many users come to your site, visit, and then trigger one of those actual goals that you want. Whether it's like, I want them to download a video, I want them to watch a TV show, I want them to review something, I want them to go buy something. Like conversion rates is how you measure that within the kind of bounds of the other parts of this key performance indicators. So again, like just to go over it again, conversion rate is just the percentage of visits that trigger a goal when the user when it triggers a goal when a user comes to your website. You can use it to you can use it through content interactions, like clicking blocks or clicking a certain banner or clicking an ad. Those all lead to conversions in some way or form. Excuse me. Average visit duration. This one is like I said earlier, this is one of the ones where this is kind of like conversion rate and bounces. These are like top. These are like the three musketeers. There's conversion rate, bounces, and average visit duration. While that may not seem obvious, those three are like linked. They're like at the hip. Because your average visit duration is linked directly to your bounce rate, which is also linked to your acquisition and conversion because if users aren't staying long enough, aren't having a long enough duration on your site to convert, they're bouncing. So like I said, it's kind of a triangle. And if I had my setup the right way, I would draw it out with my crew drawing as some of you've seen. But it's realistically just the fact that you can, if your visit duration converting to is not converting, then you are bouncing. So bounces, conversions, and average visit durations are all linked together. It's kind of the most important parts of analytics is just making sure you understand and can interpret those things. Average generation time. This is one of the more underrated metrics, I would say. Because it's not necessarily looked at because it's like, oh, my page loads fine. Now you can do it. What most people don't know is that your analytics engine is probably tracking how fast your page loads. And I will tell you, for all of this, not going to climb into the worry, are your sites load within a second? But most people want your site to load within less than a second. And you're looking at me like, okay, you might just like roll your eyes like a second, right? My phone doesn't ever do that. It's not a second based on immediately. It's a second from when they send when the request hits the server. like you say right here, like it's once the user requests the page, your analytics engine will take that time, include the time it took to hit the server and the time it took to get back to the user, and that's how the generation time will get populated. And that's very important because if your site loads in more than 5 seconds, you're not most people are going to click out before they get to it. One of the things that changed this from being one of the more important metrics to being less important is because majority of the traffic is on phones now, and most people will. And as a web host, this is like an unspoken rule that you more than likely just have to blame the network, the phone network, because more than likely it's sometimes just that your network speed and your network traffic is just not strong enough. And then another thing that changed that is third party tracking in your social media, like out Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, go take you to another page before taking you to the destination that you want to go to. Um, so this metric this metric is not as important. It's not. It seems like it's not as important, but it still can be, because you definitely want your page to be at least less than a second. If it's less than a second, you're good. More than 5 seconds, you need to call somebody or book a consult with us, and we'll get you down to at least two or one, because people don't want to wait more than 5 seconds for what they want. It's kind of weird to say, but they definitely don't want to wait that long. So that's definitely how you would handle average generation time. And I mean that's kind of it today. Today's a shorter stream. I'm trying to practice more being like concise, just because I think I'm trying to keep people 30 minutes, but but these are the important notes. Regardless of how you feel about tracking, it provides you and your brand invaluable information on how to grow and spat populate. Please ignore my spelling errors. Always make sure your users know that you are tracking. Make sure they have the ability to opt out. It's very, very, very important that you let your users know that they are being tracked. You can be sued and taken down for not revealing the fact that you are tracking. I mean, it's not even a bad thing. People don't even really care. As long as you tell them, they won't even care very much. It's when you don't tell them that they get upset. Um, so if you feel overwhelmed by this, which I understand fully, it's a lot of information, and I only covered like a tiny subsection of a subsection of a subsection of the entire thing. If you need more, if you want me to do a one-on-one with you, we break this down. Please reach out to me. Go head over to isnowglobal.com/capital C consult or isnowglobal.com/links, and you'll be able to find our links there. We want to help you. We want to give you all the tools you need to like succeed. Like again, I love the web and I love what I do here and I love what I do with the web. I just want to give you all the tools you need to kind of ensure that your web experience is great. And again, I want to give you guys a round of applause. I think I might have forgotten to give you guys one in the beginning, but thank you all for being here so much. Thank you for giving me 30 minutes of your time, or 35 probably when we're done with this, but thank you so much. If you want to watch our other videos, head over to youtube.com/, I think it's IsNowGlobal. If not, it's just go to youtube.isnowglobal.com. You can go to isnowglobal.com/links, like on the page there, and you'll find our YouTube, our Twitch, our Instagram, our Facebook. Go and follow that all. If you have Amazon Prime and you want to support what we do here, go ahead and drop us a nice free Amazon Prime Twitch subscription. It doesn't cost you anything. It gives us a little bit of change to help us keep doing what we're doing here and giving you the best content that we can. Thank you so much for being here. Let me give you this round of applause here. For those of you who have been here, that's a different applause. It's the more happy applause, I should say. But thank you all for being here again. To reach out to us on Twitter, it's IsNowGlobal. Chuck IsNowGlobal. Head over to isnowglobal.com if you want to get involved with us doing some of your web stuff, your design, your hosting, anything you need web done. Reach out to us. Thank you so much. And if you missed our recent live streams, we do these once every Saturday at noon between either 12:30 or 2:30. It's 1 to 2. So please reach out. Let me know how you guys feel about this. Leave comments. Head over to live.isnowglobal.com if you want to leave comments for me to read later. If you're there now, I'm sorry I haven't been looking there. I'm still fixing my setup a little bit here. One last thing. We may be taking a quick break next week. Not too sure yet, but it depends because I want to. We're set up our new studio, where we're gonna be doing a lot more better content. I might be doing some really cool content. Just stay tuned. Subscribe to our email at isnongglobal.com/live, and just let us know if you would like whatever you'd like us to do here. If you have any comments on what you want us to do, you want us to kind of cover, head over to live.isnongglobal.com and leave a comment. You can leave a comment there. It's not attached to any social media. It's completely private. We just want to hear directly from you, unbiased and without Google or anybody's algorithm. We want to know what you want to watch. So if you have any ideas or any kind of questions you want answered for content wise, head over to live.isnongglobal.com. That again is live.isnongglobal.com. Check us out live on Saturday, 12:30 Eastern. We're here on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. You can head over to any one of those links and check us out. Head over to isnongglobal.com/links. Quick announcement. The HTML template and Divi templates that we give out will be going away very soon. If you have not picked those up, please head over to youtube.isnongglobal.com/divi and let us know. Other than that, thank you all for being here. And I'm gonna play y'all with the outro. So let me know what you guys think, and have a wonderful, amazing rest of your weekend here, guys. Love y'all.